Yo, so while I have stated in a previous video that my favourite film director and kind of TV as well, is Joss Whedon, which maybe I'll leave a link to down below, there's another kind of very cool director who I kind of want to talk about today and kind of lead in to this video. Now, as I've said, Joss Whedon is one of my favourites, but then I also do have respect for other directors, such as I said, Joss Whedon, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, and Matthew Vaughn. They've all done some great movies and some of my favourites. But there's one director who, I'll be honest, I never really followed his stuff, but when I look back, I've watched an awful lot of his stuff. And in fact, I just watched one of them very recently, and I say I pretty much love this director. And that director was Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright has done quite a few movies over his time, including some of my favourites, such as the Cornetto trilogy, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, The World's End, and while he isn't technically the official director of it, apparently he did have a hand in some of the groundwork for the MCU's Ant-Man, which I do think is fairly cool. But the movie of his that I ended up kind of buying recently and watching through and loving was the 2010 masterpiece Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. This movie supposedly came out in 2010, which means I would have been about kind of 13 when it first came out, and I don't know, I guess it just kind of passed me by. It wasn't one that I took particular notice of. I didn't really even know it was there, but then, given the past few years, I've seen people on YouTube stating it's one of their favourite movies. Kind of people like Chris Stuckman and Thomas Tomsgale Ridgewell, both great YouTubers. They've kind of listed this as one of their favourite movies, and looking at it, I can see why. This is a movie that's just mad, but in all the best possible ways. For those who don't know, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is based very loosely on a comic book series. I'm not sure when the comic book series was released, but I personally haven't read it, but even I, not having read it, I could just enjoy the ever-loving hell out of this movie. It's just brilliant. Yeah, for those who don't know, the story is that Scott Pilgrim, played in this movie by Michael Cera, he's kind of the down on his luck guy. He's ground zero. He's a kind of everyday kind of doofus dork. He's in a band, and he's in a kind of a rather weird relationship with a girl named Knives. But then one day he sees and falls in love with a woman named Ramona, whom he starts dating. But then, as time goes on, he soon discovers that if he is going to date Ramona, then he is going to have to defeat her 7 evil exes, which is just a joy to behold. I find with this movie, like quite a lot of Edgar Wright's films, that you have a couple of scenes where it's kind of slow and it's mostly just about talking, sitting down, people talking about how they're feeling, but then when it gets to the action scenes, it's spectacular. Because this movie kind of blends anime and kind of video game style, and it just creates a movie that's just a ton of fun, especially the fight scenes. I think out of all the exes that he kind of has to fight, I think one of my favourites is about 3/4 of the way through the film, where it's technically Ramona who ends up fighting, but yeah, you get one girl who shows up and you're like, I thought you said evil ex-boyfriends. I said evil exes. And it's just her fighting up against this girl, and it's a blast. I mean, the movie has a really great cast that, as I say, includes Michael Cera. It's also got Anna Kendrick in there as Cera's sister, and you also get, among the League of Evil Exes, you also get Captain America's Chris Evans as a kind of actor type one who's literally just over the edge, and you also get a vegan one played by Superman and Legends of Tomorrow actor Brandon Routh. That's just kind of a ton of fun, especially when sorry, spoilers here, but especially when at one point Scott tricks him into drinking dairy, and the vegan police show up. Like, you haven't stuck to a vegan diet. We're gonna take your powers away. But wait, I have 3 strikes, and you've used all 3 of them. We're eating gelato. Gelato isn't vegan. Hey, milk and eggs, mate. Yeah, chicken parmesan. Chicken isn't vegan. It's enjoyably silly, and as I pretty much pointed out throughout this movie, the movie is full of little tidbits like that. There are times when it does slow down, and the actors and the characters can just kind of take a moment to breathe and talk about their feelings. But then when it gets to the action scenes, it's brilliant. It's just a joy to behold. And like many movies that I've kind of seen this year, I'd hesitate it to call it one of my favourites due to the fact I've only seen it once. I mean, just bought it. But I can see why a lot of people consider it one of their favourite films. And you know what? I'm not going to argue against it. This is just hilarious and a brilliant film. I may be hesitant to call Edgar Wright one of my favourite directors, but he has done some great films, and this one was just a romp. Just full on fun to the end. I'd love to see what Edgar Wright can do next. I mean, apparently he did do a movie recently about kind of a cycle race where everyone's taking drugs, which does leave me a little intrigued. But you know what? He's done some great films, and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is just another good one on top of them. I loved it. Well, see ya.